What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training. And today we're going to be breaking down 5 tips to be an elite slot wide receiver. We're going to be talking about how you guys can attack off-man coverage out of the slot, how you guys can beat a bigger physical linebacker out of the slot, when to recognize a linebacker's in zone, when to recognize he's in man, and a few other things that'll help your game improve. Okay, fellas? But also, if you guys are a wide receiver and you want to know the specific things that you should be doing on the field, drill-wise, to improve your route running, press releases, catching ability, explosiveness, balance, check out that very first link in the description below for our 8-week wide receiver on-field workout plan. So what it is, it's an 8-week long schedule with daily drills for wide receivers to improve their route running, their press releases, their hands. We break down every single drill with sets, repetitions, workout splits. We give you rest days, we give you route running days, and we include a 2-hour long instructional video content where we break down each drill, explain the importance of it, and show a full speed example. So check out that very first link below if you guys want to get access to our 8-week schedule. Let's get started with this video. So now, first things first here, we're looking at Devontae Adams running against off-man coverage. So how does this apply to a slot, right? So as a slot receiver, you're going to be getting this kind of coverage all the time. So the first tip I would say is understand how to attack off-man coverage and understand why DBs are lined up a certain way and their leverage, okay? So when you're out of the slot, you're going to get a lot of off-man, whether it's from like a safety, whether it's from like a nickel. You're not going to be getting too much of a DB, obviously, because you're not on the outside, but it's like a safety or a nickel defender, right? That's what you're going to be getting. When you get off-man coverage, we know that it's off man based off of his eyes, based off of his stance, and then we could also tell based on his leverage. So as a slot, you're going to get this coverage all the time if you're getting a man coverage look, right? So my main concern is I want to close the space. That's the first thing that I always must do as a slot wide receiver. I have to close the space when the guy is in off man coverage. So you see what Adams does here is he kind of closes the space, he gives that little hesitation skip and starts to slow things down, right? Now, why does he do that? Why doesn't he get a little bit closer? He starts to slow things down because that's what looks like his regular routes, right? He loves to do that little like slow pace and then burst up into an out route, or slow pace, give a little crossover and run a slant. So that's how we have to make it look. As a slot wide receiver, your stem is so important, but most importantly, like I said, we have to close the distance with this DB to make him uncomfortable and to try to get him to break on a route, right? Whether that's I'm attacking his outside shoulder hard, get him to flip his hips and I can slip underneath, or whether it's I'm staying square, I'm threatening him to his leverage to open up the outside. And that's exactly what Adams does. He gives that little crossover move, that little shake, gets that DB to jump because we make it look the same, and you see how much space he has opened up. So the first tip to being a better slot wide receiver, to be an elite slot wide receiver, you have to understand how to attack off man and know that it's all about closing space to set up your routes. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Adams, changing up tempos, slowing it down, making that thing look like a slant with his foot speed, with his upper body fake, and then accelerating back to the outside. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at this coverage as a whole, fellas. So this is something that you guys have to understand as a slot wide receiver. You have to understand this linebacker's responsibility and this safety's responsibility when you're lined up out of the slot. So this play does not even go to this wide receiver. So there's really nothing to look at here. We end up throwing like a deep post on the opposite side. So we're not going to focus too much on that. We're going to focus on pre-snap, what you should be thinking. So the second tip as a wide receiver to be a better slot, or a second tip to be a better slot wide receiver, is understand when this guy is in zone. So how you can know when he's in zone is based on his eyes and based on the safeties. Okay, so if I come up to the line of scrimmage and I see that this linebacker is inside shade. Everybody plays man coverage pretty much inside shade, right? Sometimes you'll see outside shade, especially out of the slot, and we'll get to that here in a second with our fourth tip. But when we see a linebacker who's lined up inside shade and his eyes are at the quarterback, I know that it is going to be zone coverage. But what is his responsibility in zone coverage? His responsibility is to get right into my hip pocket, reroute me so it's either an easier read for the safety, or I screw up the spacing of the route, and then this corner can end up guarding 2 guys, or the quarterback comes off of this read because the spacing is screwed up. So we have to understand that when this guy's in man coverage, he's probably going to be either a little bit closer, he'll probably be head up a little bit more, and his eyes will be on me watching my hips. That's when I have to worry about making a move. Now, like let's say you had to run like a dig route, right? And you got this type of a look. You obviously don't want to just run away from the guy, because if you were to just come here and just run away from the guy, he's going to get right into your hip and reroute you. So what I would say, when it's zone, we have to attack him, but we have to make the move fast. I have to go at him quickly. I can't be just like kind of slow paced at doing this like hesitation skip, making a move, then get up, then break it off. It takes too long, man. Against zone coverage, you have to be to this window on like a dig route or whatever it is right away, because that's where the quarterback needs you to get to. So I have to come out with something fast. Now, if it's man coverage and it's straight up man, like it's man across the board, man across the board, man across the board, how you can tell that is he's probably going to be in front of you, eyes on you. Maybe we peek over to look at the corner. Looks like he's in man coverage as well. And maybe there's one safeties, or maybe there's no safeties back there. All right, great. It's man coverage. Now, I could probably work a little bit more of a creative move. I know he's going to be running with me, so it's important to restack. It's important to set him up in a certain direction, attack his leverage, etc. But when it's zone, we just have to keep him honest right here, give him something quick, like a little bit of a burst release where you just go straight at him, then we work back outside. So make sure, fellas, the second tip to being an elite slot wide receiver, understand coverages and understand when a linebacker is in zone and understand when a linebacker is in man, okay? And again, like I said, they don't even end up throwing this ball to him. And you see what this linebacker does in this case right here, because he's got an outside release, he doesn't even get hands to reroute. So we don't have to worry about that in this case. We end up throwing the post, so again, not really much to look at there with the play full speed. So now, let's take a look at this right here from Hunter Henry, right? So this is something that a lot of guys will have to do out of the slot, cut your split down. You're going to be getting some man coverage. You got to understand the third tip to being an elite wide receiver, understand that you have a lot of space to the outside to operate. So that can structure your releases. So it's watch the thing full speed. So Henry gives him this kind of like triple step release to the outside, and that opens up a lot of space for him on this slant, right? So, and I know he's a tight end. I get it. I understand. But again, it's the same alignment as a slot would have, same type of coverage that a slot would have. So understanding that you have the outside to sell the route. Okay, so that's the third tip. So as a wide receiver, this DB does not want to have to chase and run or chase you and run with you when it's man coverage, right? So we want to threaten him to where he's trying to not let us go, if that makes any sense, right? So like if he were to be inside shade and he's trying to force me outside, I would attack the inside leverage. I would try to move him off the platform, then go take the outside release, simply because you'll get that a lot on the outside. So an outside receiver has to worry about that a lot. But as a slot, you're going to be getting a lot of outside shade press because he's trying to force you into his help over the middle, whether that's a linebacker, whether that's a safety, whatever it is. So when he's outside shade, where do you think you want to threaten him if you have an inside breaking route? You want to threaten him outside, right? If you attack him outside and attack him to where he doesn't want you to go because he doesn't want to chase you to the sideline because he doesn't have help towards the sideline, that's going to be able to get me a lot of separation, right? So look at Henry, what he ends up doing. He ends up working this like triple step release to the outside, threatening him to the outside, stepping outside of his frame, hips and his shoulders are selling to the outside. That's what's going to get this DB off that platform. And again, when we can widen him, guess what that does? That creates more space for my quarterback and gives me my quarterback more of a window because I just widened the stem of the route, but also I created more space from me and the safety and me in that corner simply because I'm threatening the DB to where he doesn't want me to go, right? Now, if you had to run a route like this, for example, if you had to run like a 10-yard out route, you'd probably want to attack the inside hard. You'd want to try to get him to flip his hips so you could slip back underneath. It's all relative, right? It's all kind of the same thing, whether it's outside or slot receiver when it comes to this type of leverage, but you will see outside leverage more as a slot wide receiver. So we have to understand that I want to threaten this DB to that sideline when I come off the line and pick my release. Watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Henry working him off the platform and then creating space over the middle, okay? So now, fourth tip as a slot wide receiver to be an elite slot wide receiver. This DB is a perfect example of how when you have a too high look out of the slot that it turns into off-man coverage, okay? So now I know this is one-on-one, so it clearly is off-man coverage, but this is something that you will see and something that you want to know how to attack. So it's watch the thing full speed. So he ends up running a post corner here, right? Getting that DB to bite, getting that safety to crash down on that first initial move to obviously make it a great play. Now, when we come up to the line of scrimmage, you guys got to understand that every single too high safety scenario will eventually turn into man coverage if he doesn't have any threats, right? So like, let's say you're out of the slot right here, and let's say the outside receiver is running like a hitch and you have a post corner, right? That hitch is not threatening this safety. So guess what it turns into? It turns into man coverage with you. So the same principles apply whenever I have to run a route as if I was going, like I'm going against zone, the same principles would apply as if I was running against man. I want to be able to sell vertical. I want to have a good pad level. I want to stay in stride. He's watching my hips, so I have to sell with my upper body. All that stuff applies even when you have a too high safety scenario. In a real game, you'd probably have a linebacker right here who's going to try to reroute you. That's exactly what we're talking about when we showed that full coverage. We give him a little burst, and then we burst upfield. But this turns into man coverage at a certain point, so we got to know those principles. So when you run this post corner, it's super important because it's man. We have to sell the post corner. I got to shoot my eyes to the quarterback. I got to commit my hips and my shoulders to get this guy to drive on it. I actually have to run fast because he's trying to match my tempo. He's not just going to let you run if he doesn't have any threats there. Now, let's say maybe it was like cover 2, you had to run a post, and then the outside receiver is running a fade. Maybe that forces him to pick one. Maybe he runs with the fade, then bam, I'm open on the post. So that's a little bit different. But that's what you got to understand, the whole play concept as a slot wide receiver, that, okay, if he's not being threatened, this is pretty much man. So I got to take care of him. I got to actually sell the route. I got to try to get him to bite. I got to sell with my body. I got to sell with speed to get him to bite on this route. Let's watch it again. Full speed is a perfect example of what you guys will see most out of the slot with that safety trying to cover you. Great route there by that wide receiver. So now, last but not least, we have to understand how to sell the inside when we are facing outside shade press. So the fifth tip to be an elite slot wide receiver, know how to get off the line against outside shade press, because that is something that you will see a lot of, kind of like what we talked about with that Hunter Henry clip. But now it's a 5-yard out instead of a slant, right? So he's not giving me this. We want to get to here when he's already there and he's trying to take that away. So how do we sell the route? Let's watch the thing full speed from Edelman. Edelman, one of the best slot wide receivers to do it, in my opinion. I think he's one of the best in terms of like the moves that he would choose, in terms of some of the things that he would do. So we have outside shade. Why is he outside shade? Trying to force me inside, right? He's got help over there. He's got safety. He's got linebacker, whatever it is. So as a slot, I understand if I got to run a 5-yard out, there's no way I'm taking an inside release on this. So I have to make sure that I really sell the route. We have to get comfortable with threatening this DB to where he does want me to go sometimes when I have outside breaking routes. So let's break it down from the slot. Like we talked about that slant with Hunter Henry, right? He wants me to go inside. So I want to threaten him to where he doesn't want me to go to get space. Now, I want to go outside. He doesn't want me to go outside. So I want to threaten him where he does want me to go to get him to hopefully jump off the platform and then slip to the outside. You see what I'm saying? It's all about understanding DB's leverage, all about understanding why he's playing a certain way. If this DB was inside shade and we had to run this 5-yard out, I would give him like same kind of release. I would give him something inside just to kind of like threaten him, get him to sit, keep his leverage, and then take the outside release rather than trying to get him to turn his hips. Now, Edelman, he goes with this wide step release, right? Stepping all the way outside this dude's frame. Hips and shoulders are both committed on this break. That's what gets that DB to turn his hips. That's what gets him to commit to this thing. If I don't do this on my releases, I'm not going to be able to get any separation. So that's a great example there. So fifth tip to being a better slot wide receiver, understand how to run outside breaking routes versus outside shade coverage by selling the inside move. Let's watch the thing again, full speed. Great job by Edelman throwing, getting that DB off the platform, and then accelerating out to win this route. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Really appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you guys would like an 8-week-long wide receiver on-field workout schedule, all the things you need to do on the field as a wide receiver to improve your route running, press, releases, hands, give you all the drills with sets and reps, and over a 2-hour instructional video breaking down each drill. Check out that very first link below. I'll see you guys next time.